Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? I'm back, y'all. I'm back, y'all. I'm backity back. I'm back, y'all. How y'all doing today, y'all? Hey, y'all. Hey, yo, this your boy Eric G, and welcome to a brand new episode of Random Thoughts with Eric G. Hey, yo, at the beginning of the podcast, y'all know I always do. I shout out my local spotlight artists. Hey, yo, this week is SLIMKORS. Hey, yo, a little bit about this brother. I found him pretty much on Facebook. He's part of the Crown group. If y'all know me, man, I do a lot of work with the Crown Group. I interview a lot of the members of the Crown Group too. A little bit about Slim Cores. He's based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. He's R&B singer. He was actually based in the church. He grew up in the church, singing in the church. Matter of fact, and he decided to become an R&B singer. Um, he's happily married. Just had a baby not too long ago. Um, his new EP coming out called Dropbox should be coming out I think next Monday. Matter of fact, y'all man, y'all check out for this local brother, man. Y'all, he's honestly a great talent. I got a chance to listen to a lot of his music, man. Y'all look him up on YouTube, look him up on Facebook, look him up on all social media platforms, man. Slim Cores, he is the one to watch. Y'all. So let's get into the nice episode, man. It's called Black Couple Goals. I did this. I did part one about a couple weeks ago with me and my wife Nicole. I don't know if anybody got a chance to hear it. I did an episode. Me and my wife got a chance to like speak about how me and her first met, like our journey over the last we're going on 6 years of us being in a relationship and leading up to us getting married last October. And like I tell everybody, like, look, it's never. I mean, being in a relationship is never a easy job. Everybody knows that. You got to go through ups and downs, good and bad. So this week I want to do a part two. You know what I'm saying? I think this week, I feel like everybody has their own stories, and I think these beautiful people I got on the show tonight, are testimony to going ups and downs, and honestly, I actually look up to y'all, like, honestly, as people who actually help us, guide us through our relationship too. You know what I'm saying? And especially me and Nicole, because we actually look up to both of y'all couples. You know what I'm saying? And y'all, it's an honor to actually have y'all here tonight. So before we get started, would y'all like to introduce yourselves and tell everybody about y'all before we get started? I mean, anybody who want to go first? So let y'all go.
All right, I'll start off. Hey, I'm Pastor James Sam, originally from Queens, New York. I've been living here in the Triangle area for 22 years. I think it is 22, 23 years. And married to one wife, the lady right there, right there. And so we've been married. Um,
Get it right. Get it right.
Lord have mercy. On the spot.
Get it right.
We've been look, we're just gonna put it like that. We've been married a long time. We've been married a long time. We've been together even longer,
Right.
And so she's my ride or die, and pleasure to meet you all.
Hey. Okay. Okay. Miss Wife, would you like to say something?
Hi, everyone. My name is LaShawn Sam, and as he said, I'm married to that guy over there. We have been married 23 years, but we've been together total 32 years.
Mm.
Um,
Get it
and
right, get it right. I know.
and it has been a journey, but it I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. So I'm originally from Queens, New York as well, and we have been here in the Carolinas, I believe. It's been around 22 years. And I'm glad to be on the show tonight.
Hey, thank you. All right, my lovely couple up top.
Hey, my name is Thomas Mitchell. Um, my wife is this lovely woman right here, Vanessa Mitchell, but she's going to introduce herself. We've been together. Lord Jesus, he the minister over there got me nervous to even say the number because I don't want to get smacked upside the head. I believe it's been 13 years marriage,
All right.
14 years together, um, and it's been beautiful. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it there. We'll leave it there for right now.
Right.
Miss D Preacher Girl, you got anything you want to say?
Hi, everybody. I am Pastor Vanessa Mitchell, and I am the wife of Thomas Mitchell. He got the numbers right. We've been together been married 13 years, and been together about 14. Yeah, we had a very, very short engagement, so he knew. So it's so great to be with you tonight.
Hey, so pretty much, man, like I tell everybody, everybody has a story. You know what I'm saying? We all had to come from something to get to where we at now. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we have to start somewhere. So the Sams, like I said, I tell you, y'all been together for 32 years?
32 years.
32 years. So would you like to elaborate how do you, Pastor Sam, would you like to elaborate how you met this beautiful young lady right here?
Look, I was trapped off. I was trapped off. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I was 16 years old, and I think I had a job at McDonald's, and I had brother stayed on. My clothes had to stay tight all the time, and I was coming down the neighborhood, and she had just moved on the block. And as I was coming through, she was on her porch because she stayed on punishment. So she was on the porch, and she said to me, "What was it? Can I have that shirt?" And that's how the conversation started. And it's been, man. Look, I'm gonna keep it 100 while we on here.
Be real.
We've been riding 32 years, but I'm gonna tell you something. It hasn't always been on the mountaintop.
That's what we want to hear.
So I think along the way, especially me going into a relationship as a young man, starting at 16, she was 14 years old. We both had our own different avenues or streets. I was doing a lot of things, and so it was chaos for a while. And we had to learn how to navigate those rocky roads, and that's why we was able to survive. I'll leave it right there.
Right. Do you remember the same exact story, Miss Lady Sam?
Yeah, that was it. I remember. Well, for me, first I remember I had seen him a couple of days before. And I said to my cousin, I was like, "Who's that?" Because, like he said, I had just moved on to the block. My grandmother lived there, but we just moved back to the block. So I knew him since I was about 7. But when we moved back, I seen him walking. I asked my cousin, I was like, "Who is that?" And she was like, "That's Jimmy." And then I was like, I didn't remember who he was. And then after we started talking, I started remembering who he was. And I was like, "He is so cute." So then I waited for a while to see when he would come back outside or when I could see him again.
That's
And
the setup. That's the setup right there.
Always is.
So he came outside and he was on his way to work, like he said, and he did have on this fly shirt. So I said to him, I was like, "That's a nice shirt you got on. Can I borrow that?" And that's how the conversation started, and it went on from there. So
I haven't been able to get away since, bro.
So that is how it, like he said, we were still young, so we had a lot of growing to do individually. And so it was a lot of ups and downs, but it was all worth it in the long run. And we still have a lifetime to go.
Hey, I love that. I love that story. I love that. Thomas, you know what, so let me tell everybody about Trey real quick. See, Nicole knows the Sams way better than I do. You know what I'm saying? So Nicole knows y'all stories. So as Nicole knows y'all stories, the Mitchells, I know the Mitchells very well. So that's, you know what I'm saying? So and plus Nicole been on the podcast. Not Nicole, sorry. She up the stairs talking about me right now then. Vanessa been on the podcast already, so she already know. Vanessa, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to let you and you and Thomas tell y'all story. So, Thomas, I'm going to let Thomas talk this time because Thomas don't talk. So I'm like,
Right. But look, but before he talked, their stories are the same. Our stories don't match. Somebody
exactly. Exactly.
I'm gonna have to tell you now, like
See,
this
and that's why I want Thomas to tell the story
Yeah,
because Thomas,
yeah. So,
I think Thomas gonna tell the real story. I want him to tell the story.
so this how it happened, right? I came in with this magic carpet, right? No, I'm just messing. I'm just messing. Wow. If we starting from the beginning, when I first met Vanessa, we was in high school. I didn't really meet her. I just saw her from a distance. And I just instantly knew like that she's gonna be mine one day. She's gonna be mine one day. I didn't have the courage enough to talk to her during that time. I think she was like a grade or two higher than me. Because she's older than I am. I know it don't look like it, but she's definitely older than me. So she was in like a grade or two higher. So back then in that high school mentality, you like I can't really get the ones that's up there. I got to stick in my lane. But eventually, I felt like I was gonna get her one day. So I saw her. Um, I saw her ex-boyfriend or her boyfriend during that time.
he was my boyfriend during that time. Go ahead, tell him what you said to him.
I told him she was gonna be my wife one day. And it was the next guy that she like. This was early on, in the time frame, and then later on, she had a new boyfriend, and I wound up telling him the same thing. So, long story short, that's how we got here. That's how we got here. But no, I forgot one part. Okay, so when we officially started, we met at Mayflower.
Which was years after the fact.
Was years after the fact. Years after the fact. We met at Mayflower. We both was working there. She caught my eye in the back. I didn't know she worked there. So I looked at her and I was like, "Hey, you work here?" She was like, she gave me that look, like, "Yeah, like why I'm asking you? Why you asking me?" type thing. I'm like, "Yeah, just starting a little slight conversation." And after that, she was just attached to me. I couldn't get her away.
They got a lot of nerve. You know that.
Hey, love it.
It is what
these men, Mrs. Sam's. Oh my God!
I'm telling the truth.
See, I believe that. I believe that. Go ahead, Vanessa.
You was my brother before you was his brother. I just want you to know.
I know. You my little sister. You my little big sister. You my little big sister. Go ahead, tell the story. Go ahead, Vanessa. Go ahead.
So the high school part is true. I was dating a guy for a few years, and he told that gentleman that I was going to be his wife. After me and that gentleman broke up, I began talking to another guy. Sometime later, he told that guy that my brother comes running home. Do you know this boy named Taquez? And I'm like, no, I don't. Who's Taquez? He's like, well, he keeps telling everybody. He told the boy you talk to that you're gonna be his wife. And I'm like, who is this guy? So by this time, I'm graduating high school.
That's a bad man.
He bad. He still is too. And I done graduated high school. I done went off to college, and I came back home. So that's when I started working at Mayflower, and I was about 18. Yeah, about 18. And so I would work there part-time while I was home. And I had worked there for 6 months, hadn't seen this gentleman at all. Then one day he walked in the back, I walked in the back to check my schedule, and we both like stopped. And I don't realize this is the guy who's told my ex-boyfriends that I was going to be his wife, though. But he says, "Oh, you work here?" And I said, "Yeah, you work here?" He said, "Yeah." Completely done with the conversation. But after that, mind you, I worked there for 6 months. But after that, I worked with him on his schedule almost every day.
Not even playing.
Wow.
And it was like we just started, having conversation and talking. And he came in one day, and I was irritated by this other gentleman that would not leave like the front desk where I was working. And I said, I would give you my number if this fool right here wasn't standing here. So he waited until the fool left, and we exchanged numbers, and the rest is history.
Sounds about right.
So Vanessa, what you don't know is that he stalked you. But it's all right. So what happened
That's
was,
not what we're gonna do. That's not what we.
See, he said I was attached to him, but I feel like he might have did something, or he
hey,
prayed to the Lord or something.
I promise you,
hey,
won't
look,
be
look, look.
nothing.
Hey, look. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say anything. He was at your Bible study, but look, anyway, look. So he was there. He was there. Vanessa, when you was at the hair store, he was behind you. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but look.
Wow.
But look, y'all. See, I love that. See, that was. I feel like everybody had a start. Everybody has a start, man. That's why I love it. That was like when me and Nicole shared our story. I love the fact that y'all was young. You know what I'm saying? Me and Nicole was old. I was about to cuss, y'all. Me and Nicole was old. we got together. Me and Nicole was old. We was real. We was older, and I feel like me and Nicole went through a lot before we got together. You know what I'm saying? And it was funny because I think Vanessa, matter of fact, was you. I think you saw us one day, and you said that could be your wife right there. That's my sister, right? I can tell you that that's your wife. And it was funny, man. But yeah, like I said, and me and Nicole being attached to the hip, man. I wish I can just saw off me, but but you know what I'm saying. But we've been attached ever since, though. And a part of our relationship, and this is gonna be the part I want to talk about too, though. We had to go through a lot of, like I said, a lot of negative stuff to get to where we at now. You know what I'm saying? We had to go through a lot of bad stuff because we came in with our own baggage.
Right.
And like I said, being like I said, for us being our age, we were when we first started. Nicole is like I said, Nicole is older than me. You know what I'm saying? So coming into it, she came in with kids. I came into it with a really bad breakup. You know what I'm saying? I came through with a really, really bad breakup. So, and I was dealing with that, and I didn't even want to be in a relationship coming into this relationship. I didn't want to deal with being. I could be single and talk to 300 women. I'd be all right. I didn't want to have no burden of being with another, like being in a serious relationship at the time. And that's just being honest. And but like I said, and the fact that I met Nicole through my brother. And like I said, and if y'all know my brother was not the type of person to try to introduce me to somebody for me to be with for the rest of my life. But he introduced me to her, and he thought that me and her would be perfect for each other. And he kept saying, he said, Eric, this one right here is the perfect person for you. Like, she is your other half. She's perfect for you. And so, like I said, we had to really fight to get to where we at now. So my questions for y'all, what was, and I don't need y'all to go down and dirty, but what was a hard time in your relationship that y'all had to really, like, you know what I'm saying, put on the boxing gloves and say, look, we got to duke it out for us to get to this next level of our relationship?
You want us to start this time?
Whoever want to jump in, that's on y'all, man.
I'll take this one. I guess I would say the rough patch of understanding each other in perspective wise. Understanding, like, I know at one point in time where she would have her own mind, I would have my own mind, and our perspective, it would be more of a clash of an argument instead of understanding each other. So it would be a versus thing, and we duked it out, like not physically, of course, but like verbally. We would go back and forth until we had to sit down and sort things out, far as understanding that I know personally, I had to understand that she is my female perspective. We are one. So when our perspectives come together, we can see everything in total. Instead of you looking one way, it's like the eyes arguing with each other. It don't make any sense. We have to still see the same sight, the same had to get down to it. So that would be some of the hardest for me, I would say. Some of the hardest times, because when you're not if you're looking at each other like enemies, whenever a situation come up, it's hard to get through things. It's hard to get through life with that person. And it's something we had to sit down and like, okay, we got to figure this thing out. We got to. So that would be mine, I would say.
Okay. Vanessa, you want to say, or you agree, or?
I definitely agree. But I also think that our biggest one was making sure our family didn't get involved.
Yes.
Because in the beginning, because we were young, they had their thoughts. You guys may not be ready yet, this, that, or third. But mind you, they weren't at school when this man knew. He wasn't your typical boy. So, like early on, he took me to church. You know what I mean? So, but they didn't know that. And so when he knew. And so I had to know that he knew from God. And so that was a hard patch for us in the beginning for quite some time, just getting mom and grandma and them to really understand, like, look, we are adults. We're young, but we are adults. And this is what we see God is leading us to. Now everybody's like, oh my God, y'all the greatest couple ever. But they didn't see it at first. And it was really hard for us to get our family to be on board to the point where we had to be like, look, it's us and God against the world until they realize it, if they ever do. Thankfully, they have.
Okay. The Sams. And y'all got decades in this now.
Well, I don't know. Sam, you want to start off first, or you want me to kick it off?
Yeah.
You want me to kick it off?
Yeah, you kick it off.
I'm gonna tell you, there's been so many. And I think in a relationship, you're always gonna have that fight at different points. I think for me, just one of them that I'm gonna talk about is my wife was saved first. She was in the church. I was in the world. I was doing it. And I loved what I was doing. And we were going through this time where she was kind of getting settled in God. And it didn't agree with me. And I was like, I want to keep on doing this right here because this is what I know. This is what all my people do. And so there was a lot of conflict there. In the midst of that, my audio still there? You guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good.
In the midst of that, we had around that time we had lost a child. So, and I was always grew up. Coming from where I come from, I was always taught that listen, men don't cry. You don't show your feelings. You don't. And coming from the street, that was a sign of weakness. So that wasn't my thing. So even when my child died, I didn't have no emotion. So just imagine if I didn't have no emotion when that happens. So when my relationship is in conflict, I was like, whatever, it didn't matter to me, because I wanted to do me. So that was a conflicting time because and that's where the scripture um, talks about the wife sanctifying the man, that kind of, and so she was in church and, God got a way of doing things, and so, um, they say hindsight is 2020. I could look back and I could see that all the while, and, God was doing something. I didn't see it, and he came in a roundabout way. But that was a very hard time for both of us because my mind was gone. It was, I didn't want, I'm going to use this analogy. I didn't want that lockdown status. I mean, it is what it is. I think as men, sometimes we're like, all right, and I'm not talking about for everyone, but let me talk about myself. I didn't want that status. We've been good all this while. Now, mind you, we've been together since 19 uh 1989. 1989 we've been together. So this is going on in 1998, somewhere around there. So, at this point we've been riding all this time. Why do we need to make this complicated?
Right.
You know, she wants to, she wanted to do the, well, we already had got married at that point. We just got married. So she's talking to me about, listen, we're married and all this stuff. And I'm like, listen, marriage is just a piece of paper,
Mm.
you know. So this was a conflicted time. Now, mind you, this is what's going on my side. This is just a snippet of the story, and then I'll let Sam tell you her side.
Gotcha.
So I agree with him when he say that that was probably one of the most difficult times for us. Um, was that time when we lost the child? She lived for 30 days, and so you can imagine during that whole time, as a woman, my emotions was up and down, up and down. And then on top of that, I hadn't quite got into the church yet. I had visited, but I wasn't actually, I hadn't really gave my life to the Lord totally yet. So with my emotions going up and down, I was off the chain too. Remember, I'm a girl from the streets of Queens, New York too. So I was off the chain. So when we would go through stuff, I would lash out at him and just talk to him any kind of way. And given, I learn now, no man likes that for their woman to come out, their face to them. And so that's what I used to do. I used to talk to him all kind of ways. So that just made the situation even worse on top of what we were going through, the death of a child. Right. So I didn't feel in that time, I didn't feel like he said when he say he's from the streets, he's from the streets. So he didn't show any emotion. So I felt like I was going through it by myself. So that caused me to lash out at him even the more. And I'm like, this is something that we created, and now the baby is gone and you're not there for me. And so we had to learn how to come back from that. So then eventually I did wind up giving my life to the Lord and got saved. Once that began to happen, God began to deal with me on how I talk to the man. How I had to learn. Remember, we was together since we were young, and I've been on my own since we were young. So I was doing all of the things, cooking, cleaning, keeping house, doing all of those things for all of those years, right? And so, but I didn't know how to be a wife. And so God had to show me how to be a wife, how to talk to him, how to, approach him in certain things. So after I got saved, I began to learn that I had to make changes, and God began to make those changes. And then I learned how to pray for him, that God would touch his heart and his mind. And then I took my hands off of it, because every time I went to put my hands in it, there was an argument, or there was things that would happen because I was still coming at him the wrong type of way. Instead of me just inviting him to church, can I keep it real? I'm like, nigga, you better go to church today. Me and the kids going to church. So you need to go to church too, but it changed from that to, you want to come with us to church this Sunday? And then that's how things begin to work. And then God began to work in that, because first I had to make a change. I couldn't pray that people if I didn't change. Right. And so when God dealt with my change, then he began to change me. And then we learned how to come together and communicate. And that's where it all started. So that's where we were able to come back, because it was a real rough patch for a moment. But God did that. So
Amen.
See, look, see, I love that. See, I love that story. And first of all, I want to say I want to thank all y'all for sharing that part of your lives. And secondly, like to Sam's, like I want to give my condolences on your loss, because like I said, I've been through a situation like that before, and I understand how hard that is. You know what I'm saying? I had a loss like that before, and I know that that's heart wrenching. I know. And like I said, like as a man, I get what you're saying, brother Sam. Like I know how it is. Like I said, I hate that I started crying later in my life. That's the thing for me. I hate it. I'll tell you the truth. Like now, look, I can't even watch Set It Off while crying. Now that's my movie. Anytime Cleo gets shot, I'm gone. That's it for me.
Right.
Right.
I can't take it. I can't take it. But but yeah, but one thing that y'all did touch on is the fact that being opposite in a relationship, sometimes does kind of plays, kind of carries a weight in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that I like knowing y'all Mitchells. I know that y'all do have your own bit of being opposite in your relationship, and I know Sam, y'all had your own being opposite in a relationship. I know me and Nicole, we are completely opposite in our relationship. but I love that the fact that y'all balance each other out. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That y'all kind of give each other a little bit of yin and yang. You know what I'm saying? And I love that y'all actually, you know what I'm saying, shows that y'all can have a successful relationship, even though y'all not 100% the same. You know. You know what I'm saying? So I commend y'all on everything y'all do in your life. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna move on to another little topic. Kids. We all got kids. Whether they get on our nerves, whether we want to choke them sometime, but we know the law won't allow it. so, so so dealing with kids, y'all. How do you deal with disciplined kids? I mean, do y'all? I mean, being on the same page with disciplined kids. How does that work? I mean, I know that me and Nicole are way different, and the reason why I say this is because we touched on it in our segment when we did ours. We are we were raised totally different.
Mhm.
We were raised way totally different. I was raised more, you know what I'm saying? Look, I got told up every 5 minutes. So like I was raised by my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? My mom died, you know what I'm saying? I was raised by my grandmother. And my grandmother was really, you know what I'm saying, I won't say she was strict. My grandma she raised us on love, but she was raised on look, do as I say and not what as I do. You know what I'm saying? So we was raised on look, this is how I told you how to do it. If you don't do what I told you, look, this is what you get.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Nicole was more on look, I'm gonna tell you over and over again, but I'm gonna take this from you. So we had to try to compromise when it came to raising our boys we had, you know, which I don't always like, but I feel like is the best way for the kids, you know. So how do y'all agree on raising y'all children? I know y'all always don't always agree on, but what was the best thing for y'all?
I'll, I'll set it off. For me, I came up around that time where you know your parents were like, "This is how it is. That's it. No questions asked."
Right.
So, with my first child, which was a girl, I was like corporal punishment type thing. I was really strict because I came from that school that it is what it is. But as I started getting older, and my next son, which is Justin, and he's 26, uh, I kind of started to ease up a little bit. I started to look at parenting from a different perspective. I started realizing, listen, the way Mom Duke did it, that was good for her, but I don't have to do it that way, you know. And that was my second child. When I got into the third one, he just got away with just about anything. Now this joker right here, I mean, he's living the life. He don't get punishment. But I'm gonna tell you what, I learned that parenting is really about the relationship that you have with your kids. When my daughter was born, I spent a lot of time with her. All my kids, I spent a lot of time with them. They weren't bad kids, not at all. But we grew this type of relationship that they trusted what dad was saying and they followed through. Now I'm gonna tell you something, them jokers are sneaky. Now, but kids are kids all day long.
Right.
But for me, parenting was a learning process.
Mm.
And I realized that I can't parent one the same way that I parent the other. Because one thing about kids, they watch. I
Mhm.
don't show favoritism. Everybody's gonna get it the same, but I got to deal with one differently than I deal with the other.
Mhm. Mhm.
One might be a little bit more softer, the other one might be a little bit more harder. So I know how to navigate around them. And so I think parenting is a learning lesson, and you learn your kids, and you learn how to work with them with their where they are.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
I agree with him to a certain extent. He stopped at our third son, when she said that, he got away with everything, but we got a fourth one. In the fourth one, he's 9. He gets away with everything. Everything. One of the things that I did learn though through our 4 children and parenting, one of the things that we used to do and we had to learn how to stop doing this was if he would discipline and I didn't agree with how he disciplined, I would say something right then, and I would say it in front of the children. Same thing with him. If I disciplined him a certain way and he didn't agree, he would say something. But what we learned was we couldn't do that because they can't see separation in between the parents, as far as discipline. Because if they do that, then they'll play on one to play on the other. They'll try to play you. Kids are smart. They'll try to play you against each other. Well, mommy said this and, or whatever. So we had to learn how to, if he does discipline the children, a certain way. Well, now we only have one, minor in the house. But if he disciplines the child, and if it's something that I may not agree with, I'll wait till later and then we'll go and talk about it. And either he'll say, well, you're right, I understand. Or I have to say, okay, I understood why, we'll talk about it. And I'll say, I understood why it is you did what you did. But one thing about parenting, you have to be on one accord and the children have to be able to see that. Because like I said, if you're not, they will turn you two against each other. So that's one of the things that we had to learn as parenting.
Right. The Mitchells. How y'all feel? Y'all got daughters, so y'all got 2 girls. So how y'all feel about it?
So we don't have any boys. So those girls just know how to bat them eyes and they sit on Papa's lap and especially the little one. The little one is so cute and she's 11 and she still looks 6 or 7. So it's like she turns it on. The oldest can do it too because they act alike. Him and Danielle, they act just alike. Like their conversation, I'll be like, what are y'all talking about? But as far as our parenting, it was a little bit different. We both believed in, spare the rod for the child. Our hiccup to me was when it came to like rewarding them. So I always believed that it was okay if I gave them chores and I would give them incentives if they did their chores. One of our biggest one was we were talking about our oldest a while ago, way before she even could drive, and she'll be getting her license next year. Is that I wanted to be able to bless her with a vehicle, not a brand new one, but something reliable. But it was stipulations. I needed her to keep her grades up and things like that. So she's in early college. She's only 15. She's in early college. She actually has a whole tutoring program where she teaches 2nd through 7th grade kids. She has about 15 kids that she teaches every week, and she maintains her grades. She has a 3.5 GPA. And so I said, she's doing all this. I wanted to bless her. Because when I was young, I made the grades and I had to buy my own first car. For that thing, I did it, and I was proud of myself that I did it, but I didn't want my daughters to have to go through that. Now him, he was smart, but he didn't make A's and B's like me. His grandma didn't gave him a car. So it was weird to me that he would say, you're not buying her a car, she gonna have to get a job and get her. What you mean your grandma gave you a car? And I know how it felt to have to buy literally, I was a waitress while I was in high school, and I worked after school, and I saved my money to get my own car, and it was hard, y'all. And so that was one of our big hiccups, is just like rewarding them and how to reward them and why you feel like they shouldn't be rewarded. And it was like, these are things they're supposed to do for him. In my mind, that's what I thought he felt. But we did finally come to like a understanding of why in the perspective thing, like you said before, he's right. That was a big thing for us. Yeah, as y'all can see as I'm talking, it was like I'm thinking back, like, why you
So,
and I also agree with Mrs. Sam too about how I would do it. I had to understand, and I'm still working on that too, y'all. Please pray for me. We haven't been married as long as you all, and we're not, I'm just 32. So I'm still, Lord still working on me. I have to realize that we have to be on one accord especially right there with the kids. Now we need to talk later, just to him and I. Yes, that's definitely. I know I got on his nerve with that.
Well,
Well, let me
that's me. But that's
go
me and
ahead.
Nicole all day. Then that's me and Nicole all day, all day. But like I said, they said me and Nicole, we are very different like that too. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird coming into our relationship. Like I said, Nicole, she's used to spoiling the kids. She was used to spoiling the boys. She'll get the boys no matter. The boys can tear the house to pieces, and she'll take them to Chuck E. Cheese tomorrow. Like it does not make sense to me. And I'm like, what the? No. So it was weird for me because, like I said, they're my like I never call them my stepsons. I never call them my stepsons. They never. Right. And like no matter how much they get on my nerves, like even when we got married, like I gave them both a bracelet, and their bracelet said my bonus sons. You know what I'm saying? and like I said, I never considered them as my stepkids. You know what I'm saying? And so when they came in my life, they was really young. So I always considered them as my sons. You know what I'm saying? So I was harder. I was kind of hard on them when I first, like, I was a mentor. So you know what I'm saying? So coming into the relationship, I can't my mindset was still on being a mentor. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of hard. And I was kind of like I said, be honest with y'all, like brother said, I'm really like, I was from the streets for real. So my thing was, I was on some like hard big brother, like big homie type stuff coming into coming into the relationship. I wasn't on being like a dad coming into it. I was on some like nigga, we don't do this. Like, you cry for what? we weren't on nothing like that. It wasn't on like that, but like it was weird because I had to really, I'm be honest with you, because over time I realized that I had to kind of soften myself as the years went on, and become more of a father figure. And me and the boys had a rough time. We had a good time because I love them to death, and I know they love me to death. You know what I'm saying? And me and Nicole, like I hate that I'm kind of soft now. I hated that I'm soft. Like I said, you know, I do hate it. I'm kind of soft with it, but like I kind of give them what they want sometimes, and I really hate it. Like I'm kind of turning to Nicole, and Nicole's kind of, but in the hindsight, Nicole is turning to me. So Nicole is more hard on them now. So I love that. So that's the best part. Nicole is she's starting to yank him up a little bit. I love it. I like thank you both.
It's balanced. Y'all giving each other balance. So
yes. So hey, look, so we almost getting time to wrap it up. So I just love the conversation, man. I just want to, before we wrap everything up, like since both of y'all couples are really into y'all became into the church, I want to ask real quick, what made y'all become pastors and decided to do this work into joining the church? That's one that I really want to ask y'all. It's like, and how's that played into your relationships?
Well, we'll start.
I mean, whoever wants to jump in, do you want to start youngest, the oldest, or do you want to start oldest to
Okay,
youngest? How you want to do it?
I'll go in. I'll start this one. I'm more on the mentor end myself. God is doing something a tad bit different with me in my personal walk with Him. I minister to people, but is more of, I started off in the prison is when He first started using me. I believe, well, when I first identified that He was using me, it was in the prison, and I would be trying to mentor, but it had turned to the route of coming from biblical text. And that's how I started. So it went more forth of the job that I do now, peer support and interacting with people that's in need, and they have these issues that they dealing with, spiritual issues that they dealing with, and God just give it to me for the go with them. My wife, on the other hand, is a pastor, youth pastor. She's been that since what was that? 2012. I would say that it's awesome but behind the scenes, people don't get how much they are getting pulled on. And sometimes that can affect your relationship because they'll be out there and they'll be getting drained. And a lot of times we just see from the physical perspective, but from the spiritual perspective, you may not be as tired when you get home, but if you're mentally drained, you don't have enough time for us. You know what I mean? So, and it will be that way, not as often, but when it happens, you could tell. You know what I mean? And it's almost like I don't want my wife to be drained every time she come home. From trying to uh do them, and it got to the point where God just showed me that you're going to have to pray over your wife. You are her covering. You have to make sure that when she's out there, sometimes when she needs a break, you might have to speak to her. Hey, babe, you might need a break right now, but God works through it. You know what I mean? And it's still amazing. I enjoy the ministry. I enjoy how far God brings her. I love to see the change in people and it's exciting to me because I just sit back and smile, when I see up there speaking and preaching, because it's is when know when it's God. When it's God and the message is coming directly from God. And I watch her. It don't just stop in the church. She's doing it, the studying, the ministering, outreach, and yeah, it's even in general conversation. Sometimes people may tug on you and pull on you. You know what I mean? Because that's that part I get also, where people get the tugging and pulling on you, looking for answers or looking for ways that you can assist them with the word of God or assist them spiritually. And it's like, so I understand it, but it's definitely it becomes draining sometimes, and you just got to be able to pray and ask God to let God do what He do.
Love that. I love that. Sam's, how y'all feel?
Well, for me, how did I get into the pastorship, man? It's it's long. When I first came into the church, as I said, my wife was saved first. This is early 2000s, and the Lord started dealing with me very early. Because of the life that I was living, my wife was kind of like running the show. But as I started to matriculate in God, she kind of pulled back and let me walk into my headship. And then God started to deal with me. And He dealt with me very quickly because I was the type of person that was very curious. I was always I'm very articulate, and I was a very good orator, and I spoke with a lot of people, and I studied God's word because I was that.
Hey, brother Sam, you going out? You out? Yeah. You back in? Yeah, you back in.
I'm back in. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was the type of person that was very curious and always trying to find out what God is doing. And in order for me to find that out, I had to get really into His word. I had to dig. I was like, this isn't enough. And the preacher, my pastor at the time, was like, know the word for yourself. Don't let me just preach it to you. I could be preaching you something that's totally wrong. Get in that word. I started getting in that word. God started dealing with me. And then about 2009, God, I heard the call, and He was like, it's time for you to do this. And at first I tried, like, maybe is that you, God? Is that you? And the way God works, and I know we closing. The way God works in my life was I was comfortable where I was serving. And He's frustrated the process that I could no longer be there. He made it so uncomfortable that I had to step out. And so I said, all right, Lord, I'm going to accept the call. Let's see what And he said, "What I'm going to show you." He said, "Faith by works. Faith without works is dead." He said, "But write the vision." I started to write the vision, and instantly God started to move. The building came, the people came, everything. I didn't even have much. Lord, I just got up really hard. And he started, and then it was from there, and I could only give the credit to God,
Yeah.
because he had to show me. That was it. It's been a long ride.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, love that. Miss Sam, you got anything you want to say?
And during that process, it was a learning process, for both of us. And like he said, God just started bringing things together, and he did it, like expeditiously. So everything came and was in order. But one of the things that, honestly, one of the things that came was I felt like my husband was giving his all to the church,
Mm.
and so I felt like, okay, wait a minute, you neglected me here, for the church, you know and it wasn't, and I had to learn, I had to grow too, and in that process I was growing too. I was learning how to be his wife, being a pastor's wife. I had never experienced that. I probably did every position in the church: usher, uh armor bearer, everything liturgical, every position there is, I did it. But this one position I had to grow into, just like we have to grow into being mothers and wives. I had to grow into being the pastor's wife, and the thing about it was I had to learn how to do that. But after I got myself settled, then I understood the call. I understood the mandate. And the call was not only for him, because behind the scenes, guess who's doing a lot of the work? Right. And so I had to be able to handle that as well, and then I had to learn that I have to make sure that he's covered. So I had to make sure that I prayed for my pastor. I had to make sure that, because there's a lot of things the enemy will use whatever he can to disturb that relationship. And so I had to learn how to cover certain areas. And then, he realized also, I have to make sure my wife is good, in this. I was the one that was called. She's my wife, but I was the one that was called to be a pastor. And so then we had to learn how to work that together. But overall, it's a rewarding job.
Yeah.
We work at it together. One thing about us, we keep it real. We keep it, like the young folks say, we keep it 100, because we want people to be able to see us for who we are and see where God has brought us from. That's the most important thing. We don't want to get up there and be fake or phony, and so these are one of the things that we work together at. And, that's my best friend. So we do all things together. So that's it.
Yeah,
And I love working
love it.
beside my husband. So
Hey,
Oh,
hey.
Well, let me
I
tell you the
got.
bad part. I'm only messing with you. Pastoring is
Hey.
a life, man. It's not something that someone can teach you. You learn along the way how to deal with people. I think pastoring is more than just getting up on the pulpit and preaching the text. You got to preach to the people that stab you in your back. People that come up and you pray for them, and then as soon as they get out in the parking lot, they talking about you.
Ooh.
So pastoring is a lot more than that. When you pray for somebody, and then that night you got to deal with their stuff. That's the real deal. So it's but I wouldn't have it no other way. Even when I try to walk away, I preached a text one time and said the Holy Ghost won't leave me alone. Like, come on, I want to back out of this. So, buddy.
You in this for life. You're about that life.
Oh man, yo, look, I love that, man. I love y'all stories, man. I love like being around y'all selves. Like it's this positive energy, man. That's what I love, man. I'm all about peace of mind, positive energy. I just love that. And in the sales, man. Look, we need another double date. That's what I like. You know what I'm saying? Amen. And the last time we had a double date, we had a free meal, so I really like that. So we
Right.
see the missions, y'all know nothing about that, y'all. So we had free meals on this, so we go out. So y'all know nothing about that. And the sad part was we try to pay other people for free meals. That's the sad part. Anyway, all right, look, look. So we finna wrap it up, man. I want to wrap it up with a game. If that's okay with y'all.
Mhm.
Okay. So the game is called TikTok Made Me Do It.
Oh God.
couples edition. So I don't know. I know everybody like seen these games on TikTok or on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Is when you get asked like you ask these couples questions. It's like 14 questions, and you get to pick like is it either you or your mate. Which I'm asking y'all the questions. Y'all get to, you get to let me know which one is it. Is it gonna be you or is it gonna be your husband or your wife? Like you can pick which one it is. Okay. All right, y'all ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So who made the first move?
Wife.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, Mitch.
I would say
Him.
I would say me.
Okay. All
It
right.
would be me.
Who's the funniest?
Him.
Me.
All right. Who calls the shots?
I do.
I let
I'll
him.
be right.
He ain't got no time management to call the shot, so I have to keep everything on schedule.
All right. Who's more indecisive about picking somewhere to eat? Oh, we already know it's the ladies now. Come on, y'all can't never find a way to eat now.
No,
We already know.
I think it's her.
No, it's you.
No, I think it's you.
Okay. I'll
It's
take
us.
that.
It's us.
Yeah, it's us.
It's us.
Good. That's good.
All right. Who's the daredevil?
Oh, him for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. All right. Who's more clingy?
Who's
Clingy.
More clingy.
me?
All right. Who make friends easier?
Friend.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's. Ooh.
Yeah, I make friends easier.
Okay.
I'm more approachable though,
Yeah,
because
she's
he
more.
be like,
Yeah.
I don't
But-
look approachable, especially when I take these off. I don't look too.
Hey yo, you know what? No, Tom, we've been cool from the beginning. We've been cool.
Yeah.
We ain't had
Yeah.
no problems from the beginning. I guess because we both look hard at the beginning.
Yes.
At the beginning, we neither one of us was approachable at the beginning. Like see the Sams at the beginning, we was not the coolest looking people at the beginning. Who's the loudest?
The loudest?
The loudest.
Me.
No.
You the loudest?
For sure.
Oh.
You mean like just being loud all together?
Just loud. Just all out loud.
Carry. So I don't know if that. Yeah, it's me.
All right. Who's the kid's favorite?
It depends.
I think it depends on the child, and I also think it depends who giving out the most money at the time.
Fact. That's true.
Right.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
Who spends the most?
I bargain shop. He buy anything.
She bargain
He'll go
shops,
on-
but
he'll
she
go
bargain
online.
shops a lot. My stuff is major, but it's like once a year.
No.
She bargain shops. Even the kids is pointing to her right now.
$1,000 lights.
The kids is pointing. What's,
No.
come on now.
No red bottom.
Come
I
on
don't have
now.
no red bottom.
Look, both kids pointing at her right now. Both, they standing in front of her pointing at her.
All right.
What's the website?
Amazon and Fashion Nova.
Amazon and Fashion Nova. They called it out. Thank you. They both said it at the same time.
Hey, the baby said it is. All right. Who's the most bougie? Who is bougie? Come on. Somebody's bougie. Come on, Sams. Somebody's bougie.
We both bougie.
Yeah.
We gonna be fly till we die.
That's right. That's the truth.
Hey.
That's how
That's
we
who-
put your shoes on. Got a Crocs. It ain't gonna work.
Look, Vanessa, I already know you the diva.
Yeah.
Diva.
Yeah, her normal dressing is like a prom. So I don't.
Look at glasses. Look at glasses.
Look at the
Come on,
glasses,
come on
glasses.
now.
Look at the
All right,
glasses.
sis. Yeah.
All right. Who said I love you first? Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's sweet. That's sweet.
At
That's sweet.
111 on 1111.
Yep.
Oh,
111.
Aw.
Who's more protective?
Oh, that way.
You pointing to the closet, Miss Sam?
Oh, wait, which way?
You pointing to the closet?
That way.
He's more protective. He's more protective. I'll just say that.
Okay. I'm getting that to the bottom. Who starts the arguments?
If you would just agree with me, it'd be all right.
Right. Right.
The women are tripping.
I start the conversation that turn into argument. Conversation need to be had.
Right. Right.
All right. Who falls asleep first?
Oh, Lord.
Anywhere. Anyway, the
No,
movie theater.
I will not
Hey,
fall
that's
asleep
me.
in no stall. So
That's
first
me.
of all,
In
you're
the
not going to
car.
say anywhere. Be quiet.
Real
man.
quick. 0 to 100.
Oh. Hey, we work hard, man. We work hard. All right?
Yeah, you know how hard it is to spoil 3 young women? Right.
Hey, bro, you
And
got-
plus a
you
whole
got it.
dance team.
Look, you got it hands down. You got 3. Lord have mercy.
Look, and a whole dance team, brother,
Oh,
of girls.
Oh, wow.
All
Yes.
right, then, look. Hey, look. I don't want to start no fight with this question, all right?
Uh-oh.
Who's more annoying?
annoying. I'm
Yes.
sure my wife is more annoying.
What?
Right.
No, he's more annoying.
Because he can't say certain words and I'd be annoyed and stuff like that. He'll do stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
He annoys me sometimes.
I do annoy him sometimes, but you are more annoying.
She get annoyed by what I do. She annoys me.
He annoys me, so he don't want me to say it.
No,
Oh my goodness.
no,
All
this
right,
guy,
all
he's a
right.
bully. He's a bully. He bullies me all day. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, he bullies me all day. All day.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna end kind of sweet. We're gonna end kind of sweet. All right. Who loves the hardest?
now how about
Oh,
that?
look at the,
How about that? Yeah,
oh, look at the kids. Look at the kids.
that's that unconditional love.
I think it's equal.
Me too. I think so
It's
too.
equal. It's
It's
equal.
equal.
It's
Yeah.
equal.
All right, y'all. That's it. That's it for TikTok. Made me do it. That's it for TikTok. Made me do it. Hey, so before we end, is there anything y'all want to promote? Anything y'all want to say before we end?
I want to connect with this beautiful couple. So yeah. I like you said, I'm a youth pastor. I own a dance academy. I run my dance academy full time. It's called I Dance Praise Academy. You guys are pastors. We'd love to fellowship. Absolutely.
Most definitely. And we're gonna get up. I think this is a great connection. Most importantly, we'll talk later. I'm not gonna hold it up.
Go ahead.
I will.
Yeah.
I will say that we have a live that we do on Facebook called Relationship Talk.
Yes.
But we're also getting ready to broaden that, and we're going to start doing like couples night out and doing a lot of things with couples and those that are aspiring to be married. So we'll stay in touch so that we could, our biggest thing is that families and relationships stay together, or that we bring them together. So that's one of the things that we're working on now. So
Amen.
Hey, if you need some family portraits, King Mitchell Services is here. I take photos, I do videos, whatever y'all want. I do everything.
Well, that's right on time.
yeah, we need you.
Because we're trying to shoot a rap video.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to get up.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, I love how you tied it back in, because we're going back into my local spotlight artist. So my local spotlight artist this week again, y'all, is SLIMKORS, your local spotlight artist straight out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Your R&B singer, man, y'all. We all need the love, man. He's gonna bring us back in with the love. Yo, his EP Dropbox debuts next Monday, y'all. Y'all check him out. Also, y'all, man, check me out, man. I'm new to the YouTube world. So y'all check me out on YouTube. That's all Random Thoughts with Eric G. I'm also on Twitter, Random Thoughts with Eric G. Y'all look for me, man. Y'all, it's the big head kid with the big smile. Y'all know how I am. Yo, also, man, y'all look, I'm on. Look for me, man. I got over 3 seasons of entertainment, great content. Yo, I'm on Spotify. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on Pandora. Yo, I'm on all streaming platforms right now. Y'all look for me. Y'all catch this wonderful episode right here, and plus many more. Y'all, I enjoyed this episode, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this. I look forward to seeing y'all again. Hopefully, y'all can come back on for another segment. And y'all, and like I always say, everybody, God bless you. Peace.